Hey y'all. Alright, I cannot believe that it is time to start seeds again. It is time to get things growing for the 2025 garden. I'm so excited. I had so much fun last year starting my first garden in 2024. First time I started plants, first time I had a huge garden, and I just learned so much. So you guys all know it's addicting to grow plants, and so I really wanted to share my seed haul today of specifically vegetables and fruit seeds that I purchased this year that I've never grown before. And then I'm gonna go back and dig back in the past and look at some seeds, some plants that I grew last year, and talk about which ones made the cut and will also be growing in my 2025 garden. So today I want to share why I chose the seeds that I chose to grow in my garden, which seeds made the cut from last year, which ones are brand new that I've never grown before and that I'm going to be learning so much about this year. And then I also want to share the different seed companies that I decided to purchase from. So grab a cup of coffee, find a comfy spot, sit back and enjoy. It's currently the afternoon of March 6th here in Northeast Georgia. I grow in Zone 8A, which essentially means that the Farmer's Almanac says that our last chance of frost should be within the first week of April. And after that last chance of frost, I will be safe to either transplant my seedlings out of the greenhouse here and into the garden, or to direct sow seeds that get direct sown and don't necessarily have to be started in the garden early. To other folks, I may be starting my seeds late. I know tons of people in my zone who have already started. I seem to be perpetually behind in life in general. I just struggle with timelines, and so whenever I get it done is when I get it done. And you know what? That worked really well for me last year. So if you've learned anything so far, maybe you can learn that the best thing to do is just start. I grow here in this greenhouse. It is a 16 by 20 greenhouse that we built from the structure of a carport that comes from Tractor Supply. So the metal part, the bars that you see here, they're going over, we recycled and reused. We stretched plastic with wiggle wire. We framed in the doors with wood. We added screen doors to the front, and we built the tables. And so that became our greenhouse. We finished up with it like the second week in March last year, and that's when I was able to start my seeds. It has been such a breath of fresh air to be able to have such a huge growing space to start seeds in. I went way overboard, but I sell seed starts, and then we just planted so much. And even if we didn't get that much of a harvest, because I did transplant a little bit late, we did get a lot of cucumbers, a good bit of tomatoes. We lost some tomatoes to some rats actually, but we got let's see, squash bugs ate up the squash. We got tons of beans, especially the noodle bean and asparagus beans. Those are my favorite beans. But even if we didn't get like such a huge harvest, I learned so much last year, and not just about plants. Like, duh, I learned a huge amount about plants, about growing things, about soil health, about pest control. We do really try to make sure that things are organic and non-GMO. We really push for regenerative agriculture here on our farm. So any protein that we grow, such as pork or chicken, everything is regeneratively farmed. So we do carry that over into our garden here. And so I really try to make sure that things are clean and there are no harsh chemicals or pesticides used on my garden. So I just learned so much about ways to remediate or fix problems the natural way. And so the garden is such a lesson in life and biology and science, but then it's such a huge lesson in here, you know, your inner work, your patience, you're learning how to deal with failure correctly. I cannot even explain to you how much pride, and not egotistical pride, but just such like a good healthy pride in myself that I that I earned last year, and a huge amount of confidence growing things in this garden. Every day that I came into this greenhouse and saw my plants growing more and more, it was just like another tick in my brain of, I'm doing something right, I can do this. And so I really do encourage you, if you've never started, just start, jump off the cliff and get going. It's so worth it to just do it, to try, to stop waiting for, you know, well, I need this, or I don't have this, or I don't know how to do that. None of those are an excuse, and trust me, I used them for years. But growing food is so therapeutic, and yeah, you get the benefits of having healthy food, of knowing where your food comes from, of knowing what's in your food before you ingest it, which are so important. But then you also get those benefits of just the confidence, the mood boost, the life lessons that you learn. They're so worth it. So second lesson, first, just do it. And second, you just got to start. Stop waiting for the right time. The first seed company that I purchased seeds through this year is Botanical Interest. I really like, first of all, the initial thing that you see when you order seeds from Botanical Interest is this seed box. And this is actually the box that gets sent through the mail. I'll hide my information. There's the packing label. This is the actual box that gets sent through the mail. And it's just such like a cute little, you know, you don't get a baggie, you don't get a mailer. It's just a cute way to send the seeds. And then it's so nifty because I just carry these around, and these have my seeds in them. I can use them to organize. Cardboard boxes are always reusable. So just something really cool, like my initial, when I first got my first box of Botanical Interest last year, I remember thinking like, wow, that is like so nifty and so useful. So that's the first thing I really love about them. The second thing that I really love about Botanical Interest is that they share this seed starting guide. So you get this in every box, and it's huge. And it breaks down essentially how to read your seed packet. It tells all kinds of cool information about reading the seed packet, understanding what the different parts of the seed packet mean, days to emerge, all kinds of things, pest control, starting seeds indoors, direct sowing, just a really cool kind of basics of how to start a seed. This comes in every box. It's such a cool little tool if you've never started seeds before, and I just love that they add that in there. From my experience with other seed companies, I've never gotten something like this for free. I know a lot of seed companies do have free downloads on their website, but just for them to take the time to print this off and to put it in every box, that is very meaningful to me. Of course, there's always a packet of seeds for free for buying XYZ amount of seeds. So this year, and I think last year too, I got the mesclun mixed lettuce. And I did grow this last year and it was very yummy. But I probably won't grow this year because this is like my third pack. So I'll probably end up sharing this with someone else. And probably my favorite thing about Botanical Interest are the seed packets. So this was a packet of English thyme, and then it has a little way for you to like break it open, and then inside is tons and tons and tons of information about English thyme specifically. So in here there's like recipes, how to use it in the kitchen, there's how to start that seed specifically as far as temperature goes, seed depth, watering, all kinds of things. Then it specifically breaks down like the scientific name of the plant, how tall it's going to get, what's it good for, what to expect as you're growing, things that are in that same family, specifically important things about that plant, like is it native or where did it come from, what environment does it like to grow in, just some really cool stuff. I am obsessed with Botanical Interest seed packets, and this seems to be like a common theme. When I first ordered their seed packets, I had no idea, and then I saw someone else talking about them one day and I was like, what? And I ripped a seed packet open, and sure enough, it is full of such valuable information. And I think what's really cool about this is where this seed starting guide is kind of can be used for any seed generally. This pack, the information that's in the seed packet specifically, is for that seed. So I just really love the information. And then of course they give a lot more information on the back of their seed packet as far as the depth of planting, what to expect as it grows, where it came from, what year it originated in, all kinds of stuff. Row spacing, how to thin it, when to start it inside, if you should start it inside, or if it's a direct sow. On the front of the packet you'll always see if it's organic, the organic seal, and then if it's heirloom, it'll say heirloom right here in the purple. So really cool when you're buying the seed on their website. Several of these things are just directly in eyesight, which is awesome. You don't have to hunt for it in the description. And then the last thing, and probably, maybe I said the seed packet was my favorite, but this is definitely my favorite reason to shop at Botanical Interest, is the artwork on the seed packets is absolutely beautiful, absolutely phenomenal. And do y'all know what I saw this year? On their website, you can make a purchase for the artwork specifically, and I think it comes with like 8 prints, digital, that you can print off. How cool is that? The artwork is just so beautiful. I'll show y'all some different packets as we go through my seed haul today, but that's just probably like my very favorite thing about Botanical Interest seeds. Let's break down some things that I bought new this year that I have never grown before. These are all from Botanical Interest, and then we'll go through the other seed companies. So first is the San Marzano tomato. So this is a pole tomato. It's a Roma in the Roma family, and I actually got this to replace the Amish paste. Don't hurt me. I grew them last year. They work for tons of people, but for me, they were not prolific enough. So a Roma tomato is a really good canning tomato or a paste tomato. It doesn't have a lot of water in it, so you don't have to cook it down that long if you're planning on making sauces, salsa, tomato paste. So that's why it's called a paste tomato. It's in the Roma family, so that's, you get that oblong shape. And then it's the San Marzano. This is an heirloom. And then of course you've got the seed packet with all of the information, and just look at that artwork. So pretty. The second one is called an Ace 55. It's another heirloom from Botanical Interest. I really like this one because it's kind of like from my grandparents' generation. It just reminded me of something that they might grow in their garden. This is heirloom and organic seed. And then we have the chocolate cherry, and I actually grabbed this one because I had someone, an older gentleman, reach out to me last year that his granddaughter really wanted to grow chocolate cherry, and I didn't have any starts. It is not an heirloom, but it's a really cool little, they kind of grow darker. A darker cherry would be like in the brown cherry or the chocolate cherry varieties. And they're small cherry tomatoes. Really cool. The next one is a moneymaker. I did grow these last year. They are prolific. The stems are thick and really vigorous, and they're healthy. They did not have a lot of pest pressure, and then the tomatoes are really yummy. So they're called moneymaker for a reason. These are heirloom. Because they are grown to be good slicers so that you can sell them at market. So since the moneymaker part. But I really enjoyed these. I didn't get a lot off these because I actually started and transplanted these late last year. So I only got a few tomatoes from them. But what I did get, they had heavy yield, and I really liked the plant and how strong it was. Next, and the last tomato from Botanical Interest, was the green zebra, and I just thought it looked cool. Green zebra, it's got stripes. So it also is not an heirloom, but it is an organic seed. So just a really cool green tomato with stripes. And that's really the only reason I bought it. Alright, let's talk about some peppers. So I'm going to obviously do a jalapeno. These are from Botanical Interest, and I really enjoyed Botanical Interest pepper seeds last year because they had a high germination rate compared to some other seeds that I grew. I've found that to be true for all of the Botanical Interest seeds. The germination rate is very high. I can appreciate that because you're going to get your money's worth. On the seed packet, I did forget to say, it does tell you how many seeds to expect here, which I really like because inside of these packets, there's like a little envelope. If the seeds are really tiny, like tomatoes, peppers, and especially a lot of the flower seeds, they'll wrap the seeds up in like a little tin foil, kind of, not tin foil, I don't know, aluminum envelope in there, and so it kind of holds. I forgot to say that earlier, but I really appreciate Botanical Interest seeds for the high germination rate. So we've got some early jalapenos. Those are heirloom. And then we've got some heirloom serrano chili peppers. So one thing too, when you're looking on the website, if you see the chili in the name, that means it's going to be a hot pepper. And if it doesn't say that, it'll likely say sweet, which it's going to be a sweet pepper. Then we have some purple tomatillos. So last year I grew some green tomatillos, but the grasshoppers decimated them, and I think we only got like 10. And I made one batch of salsa verde, which is one of my favorite things to eat with chips and salsa. So let's give the purple ones a try this year. I've learned a ton about soil health and pest management that I'm going to apply this year. And so hopefully I can redeem myself and I can have lots of salsa verde this year. So these are the purple tomatillos. They're not heirloom. It is an organic seed. And they're purple. Like, how cool is that? They're so pretty. Tomatillos are in the tomato family. They grow a husk around them, and then they get their color and the husk kind of breaks open when they're ripe. Next we have some Georgia Southern collards. I feel like I buy a pack of these every year and I never get them in the ground. Here's maybe to the year that I grow Georgia collards. Georgia collards are an heirloom variety of collard. They're super old. They go way back to like the early 1800s, and just like a tried and true variety of collard. I love me some collard greens. Arugula, rocket arugula. This is supposed to be the one that's a little bit spicy, which I'm excited about. We'll see how it goes. I've never grown arugula. I know I'm late to the game with the arugula, the lettuce gem, little gem lettuce, and my bok choy. I know I'm late to the game. I know they like to be cold. We'll get what we get. Last year I planted around this time, and I actually got quite a harvest off of them, which was pretty surprising, being that it was really hot outside and they bolted. So with brassicas, this is why you want to grow them in the cold season, not when you necessarily have you know, deep frosts, but they do like being cold. So early spring, early-ish middle fall. Brassicas, so brassicas are like the bok choy, the broccoli, they will bolt fast. And then I've even seen it with the lettuces. So bolting is the process that a seed or a plant goes through to produce seed. So if a plant is not considered a fruit, it doesn't put a fruit on that contains the seeds or grows the seeds. So things like your lettuce, your bok choy, your broccoli, they are not producing a fruit. We are eating the actual plant. So in order to create a seed, that plant has to bolt. That plant has to grow an arm, essentially, that grows pretty high, flowers just like any other flower, and then that flower then turns into or contains the seed. So just like a flower, just like a zinnia or cosmo grows up, has a flower, grows a stem, has a flower, and then the inside of the flower produces the seeds. The brassicas, the lettuce, all the leafy things that we eat do the same thing. It's really cool to see the process, but heat encourages them to do that faster. So that's why they really need to be grown in either a colder climate. So I'm in Northeast Georgia. I am in the southern part of the U.S. And I have a warmer climate, a longer growing season, approximately 200-ish days. These need to be grown when it's colder. But like I said, I'm perpetually late to everything. And so, don't they say like, I'll be late to my own funeral? That's probably going to be me. But these will get started when they get started, and we'll eat what we can off of them before they bolt. And then the cool thing about bolting is you just save the seed and grow them again next year. So I actually have tons of these seeds. I don't know why I repurchased them. You know how chicken math, like chickens just repopulate really quick? Well, seed math is actually a thing too. Now let's talk about Baker Creek seeds. I really love Baker Creek seeds. Specifically, their seed packets are huge. They're really easy to handle. I love that the seed packet has this glue under the top so that when it's opened, it seals itself back shut. That is super handy if you're not planting all of the seeds at one time. And then obviously Baker Creek is so well known because they carry the arguably, maybe it is fact, the largest heirloom seed variety in the world. In the United States, definitely, but I say in the world. I love the heirloom varieties that I can find, the unique stuff that is on their website. Every year that I look, it just blows my mind. I always get their free seed catalog sent to me. It is a little bit smaller. You can choose to purchase a larger seed catalog that is way more intensive and has so much more information on growing all of these different unique heirloom seeds. I've had great experience with the germination rate. I will say it's been a little bit less than the Botanical Interest germination rate, but not enough for me to say to like write them off. I love Baker Creek. They're so unique. They have such a diverse staff and family, and I can so appreciate that. And then they do really cool expos and events. They're always just a huge proponent for the regenerative garden, and I just really love them for those reasons. So let's get into the seeds that I bought new this year from Baker Creek. All right, the first one is a tomato. It is the Missouri Pink Love Apple. So I learned something new when I was looking at the website. The love apple is the term that people in the 1800s, when tomatoes were thought to be extremely poisonous, which they are in the nightshade family, but the fruits of the tomato were avoided and were actually grown ornamentally, which means grown to look at. So the plant and the fruits were grown to look at ornamentally because they were poisonous, very toxic, in the early 1800s, thought to be. And so the term given to these were love apples. So the Missouri love apple is a type of tomato I honestly just got it because how cool is that backstory? I'm excited to grow it. We'll see how it goes. Now the Baker Creek seed packet doesn't have near as much information as the Botanical Interest one. It gives you a few little facts, but definitely doesn't go as in-depth as this one, which is okay. I can Google and I can do my own research, but that is one maybe downfall to their seed packet. But still, I love this sticky. I know that sounds so silly, but I just love being able to seal back my packets, whereas with this one, you can't do that. I've had to tape, I've had to fold, all the things. So Missouri Pink Love Apple, and all of Baker Creek seeds are heirloom. All right, the pork chop. If you know anything about our farm, we have a regenerative hog farm. We do raise red wattle pigs. Currently, we are not raising because we lost both of our sows back to back within a month of each other in the summer of 2023. We had our old man boar, and we just had to kind of make a responsible choice of not bringing any more sows in for him. So he's living out his golden years out here in the field and enjoying his free reign and his peace time. We are very sad not to be in. We actually processed our last two, let's see, last December, I believe. So we're still eating pork. We're still in pork for ourselves, but we are not currently raising feeder piglets or selling. We had a really great time with the red wattles. Both of our breeders had papers and were part of the Red Wattle Association, and it was just such a fun time. We really enjoyed farrowing, which is what a lot of pig farmers don't like doing. We're a huge proponent for letting the pig naturally do what it instinctively knows how to do. And so with red wattle, they are a heritage breed. They are on the endangered species list, and we brought them in knowing that we could help that breed. And the sows of that breed are very good mothers. They have a very strong mothering instinct. So we actually free farrowed in our field. When our sows were ready to farrow, they made their own nests and birthed their own piglets without assistance. We do not use farrowing crates or cages. We don't put anyone in a barn. You know, we might in the future have to do something like that depending on the breed of pig we raise in the future, but the red wattles were such a breath of fresh air. Such a good breed to raise, a very large breed to raise. So I'm not going to encourage other people to hear what I'm saying and jump off the deep end and get red wattle without doing some extensive research. But as far as growing them out, we did raise meat and we're in several markets around. Decided to pivot and started raising feeder piglets. People really love red wattle because they are a slow growth hog. It takes about a year to grow out a feeder. They marble so well. So if you're familiar with Wagyu beef, they are very similar. They're in comparison to Wagyu beef because the meat marbles, the fat it within the meat is very marbly, and that's what makes that really delicious taste in like a pork chop. All of our piglets that we've ever raised out ourselves or sold off farm to be raised by other farms, all when processed, we've gotten tons of pictures and just good information from our buyers, had fat caps like this thick on the pork chop. So just such a good meat to eat, cool pig to raise, healthy, and we just had such a good time. But we're currently out of that business right now. We do just have Amos out in the field, and so I'm obsessed with pigs. That's my favorite animal, and so when I saw the pork chop, I had to get it. The next one is called a Hugh's tomato. My papa's name was Hugh. All right, now we have the brown sugar. I grew this last year and I ended up starting it way too late. Didn't really get it in the ground in time for it to produce anything. The plant grew, but it never produced a tomato. So I'm really excited. It's called a brown sugar because it has like a smoky, sweet flavor. They're not too big. 5 ounces is what this packet says, but they're used in cooking because they do have that sweet, smoky flavor. So things like sauces or cooking them down when you're making your recipes that involve tomatoes, that's a really good choice. This next one, another just really cool story and name. It is called the Rebel Starfighter Prime. So this seed has streaks of purple, green, brown, dark purple, black, which makes it like a galaxy, and so it's named the Rebel Starfighter Prime, kind of like a Star Wars theme. Alright, now for the peppers from Baker Creek. So the Chocolate Beauty, I thought this was so beautiful, and I'm going to do some more research, but I learned recently that the purple fruits that are purple, vegetables, fruit, have a antioxidant property to them, and antioxidants can collect free radicals within our body, and free radicals are what causes things like disease. So I thought when I saw this one, the Chocolate Beauty, which is very like brownish purplish, I thought, wow, that's a neat one to grow. It's going to be like a bell pepper type, so not hot. And then it says it grows or it produces like market producing variety, so it should have a high yield. That's really cool. Next, the brown jalapeno. How stinking cool is that? So I really just got that one because I thought it looked so cool, and I'm excited. Jalapenos are awesome. They're hot, but I thought the brown was just really neat. And then we have the Buena Mulata pepper. Maybe I said that right. It's another purple variety, which is why I got it also. I got several things that were purple because I'm really interested in doing some research about that antioxidant property in the purple. So this says it's a chameleon-like pepper, so it kind of has some color changing. Goes from pink to orange to brown to deep red is what the seed packet says. Pretty cool. Alright, some cucumber. So I did get a pickling cucumber. This is called a miniature white. And if you didn't know, pickling cucumbers are specifically pickling cucumbers because they don't hold a lot of water. So when you pickle them, when you have to, cook them down, whether you're water bath canning or pressure canning, they're not going to get as mushy because they just don't contain a lot of water. So if you've ever made cucumbers or pickles with cucumbers that weren't a pickling variety, something like a Market More or a Tasty Green, they probably got mushy, and that's why. So if you're gonna pickle, try to use a pickling cucumber, but this is the miniature white. I just thought it was cool. Last year I grew a Hocus variety and I did not like it. It was extremely thorny, which pickling cucumbers, they're small, they're gonna have those spikes on them, but it was like so bad that it felt like fiberglass in my hands every day. I actually had to wear a glove every single day, no matter how big they got. It was insane. And it just did not produce very well. They didn't like the heat here. No matter how much water I gave them, it just never was enough. So I'm going to try a different one this year and we'll see how it goes. Now for squash, I had a really hard time with squash last year. Not necessarily squash bugs, although we had a ton of those, which created like the powdery mildew, but vine borers decimated my squash crop. So this year I chose some winter squash that I'm going to grow because they have a tougher vine that's harder for the vine borer to bore into. And if you don't know what a vine borer is, it's a moth. They lay eggs on the vine. When the eggs hatch into the caterpillar or the larva essentially bores or drills into the bottom, the vine, really close to the ground, and eats the inside. That's their first food. And so eats the inside of the vine, and which then kills the plant. So I did several surgeries last year. Here's my tweezers. They have a light on them. And I essentially like cut open the vine, went in, pulled the vine borer out, and then mounded dirt and mud around the vine to kind of help it close back up. And I was pretty successful, but that was just a lot of work. And I did kill a few of the plants doing that, which they were going to inevitably die anyway. But it was a ton of work that I don't really care to do this year. So I'm going to give some winter varieties of squash. If you don't know why winter variety are called winter, is because their flesh is really hard. So they're made to survive the winter. After you pick them in the, summer, fall, whenever you grow them, you pick them and you put them in maybe a dark, cool place. The skin is made so thick that the flesh does not rot, which is why they're called a winter squash. They're made to eat throughout the winter. A summer squash has really thin flesh, something like a crook neck or a straight neck yellow squash. Any of the zucchini, black beauty, they have a thin skin, so they're gonna rot if you leave them on your counter. I actually have spaghetti squash on my counter right now that I probably picked in June of last year. We still have a few that we haven't eaten yet, so that's really cool. But yeah, that's why it's called winter squash. So I'm gonna do this butternut, orange butternut. And then this is a summer squash. A lot of people call these patty pans, which I will grow a variety of patty pan from Botanical Interest that I grew last year. They grow so fast that I found the pests don't really have time to kill the plant. But this is a pineapple squash, so they're a lot like a patty pan. They're kind of small, but they're a pineapple because I guess they have like these little points on them. Pretty cool. And they're supposed to be really good to eat, to cook, saute, just like any other squash. And then the last one for Baker Creek this year is the Montana Sunburst corn. I've not had success with corn yet, but every year I just give it another try. And I really like this Montana Sunburst because you can see they actually look like sunbursts. It's pretty cool, like little sunsets, so that's really neat. And then I did get 3 free packets of seeds. So I got a banana pepper, I got a Landis winter lettuce, and then a Japanese wasabi radish, which Ches is really excited about because he loves wasabi. I hate wasabi, but it's a spicy radish. So that is Baker Creek. Some honorable mentions of things that I've just picked up here and there when I've been at the hardware store or the garden center, or also I did order a few from So True Seed in Asheville, North Carolina. These are the rattlesnake pole beans. They're really cool because they have, this picture is not very good, but they have like dots and lines on them, which I thought were pretty cool. This is the Aunt Hetty's red okra. And then the Country Gentleman, your standard classic sweet corn. So I actually chose to order these 3 from So True Seed because they are in Asheville, North Carolina. I hope you are familiar with the hurricane storm damage that ravaged Western North Carolina back in October. It broke my heart then, it breaks my heart now to see the damage, to even try to understand it. It is extremely hard to even, like, I don't even have words. But I decided to support them and get some seeds from them. I'm not very familiar with their seed company, so I don't know anything about germination rates. I don't know anything about where they source their seeds from, who their growers are, their farms and whatnot. But I'm hoping for some good luck with these, and I can let y'all know at the end of the season how that went. But their seed packets do have a little bit of information here and here. And they have really pretty artwork as well. So if you feel obligated, or if you need some seed, go to So True Seed website and support them. They are in Asheville, and their business I hate to use the word lucky, but their business was lucky enough to avoid the storm damage, the flooding that came through and took out many businesses. So they are doing a lot of work within their community to help with the storm damage. And I know it's been a hard winter with so many people not having a place to sleep and food and clean water. So anyway, I decided to support them with my money, and if you want to, you can do that too. And then last, I also picked up some Italian pepperoncini hot peppers at Home Depot. So I actually did not get any of these and saw them the other day and thought, I really love pepperoncini. Anytime we eat pizza, we like pickled pepperoncini, and I really like hot peppers, so decided to pick some of these up. But this is just a burpee packet, and you can see it's got the normal burpee stuff on it. There's that. Alright, now I'm just going to go through my box of leftovers from last year and show you some things that I will probably be starting again in my garden. Talk to you about why I really liked that plant, that variety, that fruit, and just to explain why it made the cut. And it's going in my 2025 garden. Alright, so first, spoon tomatoes. Now, caution, if you grow spoon tomatoes, spoon tomatoes are extremely prolific. I actually only planted one plant, and I probably got 1,000 or more little tomatoes. Now, if you see, about 10 of those tomatoes can fit in a teaspoon, hence the name spoon tomatoes. They are very popular among birds and among other animals, and they spread. They're extremely prolific. So I have heard that I shouldn't start these this year because I will have so many volunteers grow on their own. We'll see. If I don't see any volunteers coming up within the next few months, I will at least grow one of these. They were so novel and so cool just to pick every single day. We probably got 20 or 30 every day. They're tiny and they're just so good to snack on. Just a really cool novel tomato. They are so small. Next, let's see, basil. So I grew tons of basil last year and really enjoyed growing basil. It's aromatic. I cooked with it. I made pesto. I ate it fresh. I just love basil. So this is a purple Petra basil. It has a little bit of a stronger flavor than something like your typical Genovese basil. But super easy to grow. Very small seeds, but grows very well. Doesn't need a ton of tending to. Can be in full sun, can be in shade. If your basil is in full sun, you're going to have to water it extra. But I did have a whole bed of basil up here at the front of the greenhouse in an old watering trough, and it got full sun for half the day, and then it was shaded over for the other half of the day, and the basil grew. I mean, it was as tall as me standing, and now of course it was in the cattle trough, but I mean probably a 2.5 or 3 foot plants, just huge. And I did not pinch the tops. I didn't cut the tops. I probably should have, but I didn't. I just let it grow, and then I let it bolt. So I may have some volunteer basil this year. We'll have to see, but I love the purple Petra because it's just so unique and pretty and purple. The next thing is dill. This is the Tetra dill. There is another variety of dill. I'll have to look it up because I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But if you know anything about butterflies, the tiger swallowtail, which is native to here in Georgia, this is their preferred host plant for their caterpillar. And just a really cool plant. Of course, you can cook with dill, you can can with dill, you can make dill pickles, you can make dill seasoning. Dill grows, it's so pretty when it grows, and then I always just let mine bolt and gather the flowers for when I'm going to can. But it's just so pretty, it's aromatic, it smells good, it tastes delicious, and the tiger swallowtails really appreciate you planting dill. Next, we have some dottil peppers. These are supposed to be hot peppers. I did grow some last year, but they never produced. I'm not sure what that was about. I'm still learning, so I probably did something wrong. But the dottil pepper, someone told me, is the pepper that is in the shrimp and grits. I think they said shrimp and grits in like Savannah or something, like the original recipe. I could have that all wrong. Don't hold me to that. But someone had a really cool story about the dottil pepper, and they were excited to see that I had it. So I'm going to try again this year and see how it goes. Alright, the Brandywine tomato. This is your tried and true, your heirloom. These are the pink and the yellow varieties of Brandywine. Brandywine are a potato leaf tomato, so their leaves don't look like a typical tomato leaf. They actually are kind of round, and they're so pretty. I really love the potato leaf tomato varieties, but they're heirloom, so they're a little bit of that like naughty look, but they're still very rich and flavorful. They're good for slicing, they're good for eating fresh, and these are pretty prolific, and I really enjoyed growing them last year. Then we have the black creme tomato. So these have a kind of a black look to the outside. They're still very red, but they have just kind of a black shine-ish, and they're not very big tomato, but these grew really well last year, and so I decided to grow them again. This is a Russian variety as well. The orange accordion is so fun. Nothing more than that, honestly. I mean, they taste fine, but they're so naughty. They have like all this kind of just grows together and kind of gets thick in there. It doesn't have a lot of flesh for eating. They taste awesome, but they're just so fun to grow and to watch grow. We really just loved seeing them every day. It's kind of one of those things that just makes you happy, so you do it. But yeah, these grow huge too. I mean, our biggest one was like this big, but very cool. Then we have the pineapple tomato, which is like a light pink tomato. This one was so pretty. I just really enjoyed watching it as well. Let's see what else. The Berkeley tie-dye. This is the green variety. Amazing, amazing taste. Just your standard, grow it. Here's some of those green, the Rio Grande tomatillos that we grew last year. I'll probably throw some of these with the purple and see how it goes again. We have some peppers here, the shishito and the cayenne blend that I will start again. Both really good peppers. Had awesome, awesome produce from those. Ground cherries. If you've never grown ground cherries, this is your sign to go grow ground cherries. They are the dessert of the garden. They never make it inside. They are in the tomatillo and that tomato family, so they have a husk. They get really yellow and sweet when they are ready. They usually fall off, but you can pull them off when they're ready. And oh my gosh, y'all, they taste like sweet tomato pie. And I know that sounds so crazy, but they are so divine. So if you've never grown ground cherries, this is your sign to get some ground cherry seeds. If you need some, let me know, and grow them. They are delicious, and they really only grow like this tall. They're super small. At least mine were. We'll see what happens this year. All right, what else is in this box that I'm gonna grow this year? Okay, I had so much fun with these Orient Wonder beans. They are noodle beans, so they grow like super duper long, and they're thin, they're tender, they're delicious. They were so good for eating fresh. They were so good for, I actually canned some too. I really enjoyed the Orient Wonder, the asparagus bean, and the Chinese noodle bean are all like, I mean, some of them would get like over a foot long, 18 inches, and still be so tender and good. Just something so fun. These climbed all over a cattle panel in my garden, and they were just amazing. It was so cool to watch and also to eat. Obviously, the pear tomatoes make the cut. Always the pear tomatoes make the cut. Let's see. We have some Cherokee purple. These are Chez's favorite. So pretty, very tasty, very prolific. And then the tasty green cucumber was probably my favorite one that I grew last year. Just such a yummy cucumber, great for slicing and eating fresh. Grew really long, grew on a cattle panel trellis, was just very healthy and prolific. Even with the cucumber beetles, I really enjoyed growing that. Let's see what else we got. So here's the Italian Genovese basil and the lettuce leaf basil. The lettuce leaf basil grows really big leaves that you can use actually for wraps. So delicious. I love pesto. I made tons of pesto last year, and it was just so fun. Some catnip. Someone asked me why I grow catnip. I don't know. It's just fun. People actually really enjoy buying catnip too. And looks like that is all of the things that I'm going to be adding back in again. All the ones that kind of proved themselves last year. So I know I shared so much information with you today, all of the seed varieties that I'm going to try that I've never grown before, and then all of the things that I decided to keep around and grow again, and the 2 seed companies that I choose to support this year. But I loved hanging out with you today, and I hope you enjoyed your time here as well. Thanks for hanging out. See you later.